Bachchan or Vin Diesel, that's not me. I just woke up with a bad cough this morning. I'll try to sound as genuine as I can be. My name is Abhishek Sengupta. As a journalist over the years, I've been trying to examine how data reshapes the world that moves today. And today, as the CEO of a media strategy and consulting company, my work sits at the intersection of storytelling and adoption of emerging tech across industry. So that way it's a privilege to be talking about AI and how AI is changing the way ground operations work, making it more efficient, more collaborative, and obviously more transparent. And to have that discussion further, let me formally welcome Brian Cobb, Emanuele, Cala. I think you just need to swap because you're sitting. You want to swap your seats? Maybe just sit under your photo. So you're identified all right. And of course, Willem, Kappes. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for making it to this panel discussion across time zones. We'll start with Brian because I think you've flown the farthest, right from Kentucky. And I hope you've managed to beat your jet lag. We've got about 38 minutes, which is should be all right to fit in all our conversations. Brian, let's start with you. You head the innovation at an airport which used to be Covington, which is why CVG, not many people might know, very established airport. As the head of innovation there, what's the single biggest project that you're extremely proud of to have introduced over the last 12 months that you want to talk about?
Abhishek, thank you. And Morgan Freeman is a very trusted individual. So.
I take that from you. Thank you.
And if I fall asleep, please wake me up. I'm doing well, thank you. And great to be with everyone. Single biggest project within the past year still for us is autonomous vehicles, both indoor and outdoor. And I'm sure throughout the conversation today, we will quickly delve into how the autonomous vehicle space, how LiDAR technology, and how data ingestion has become so critical into this whole conversation about AI and where AI is headed and how we can in turn reverse engineer that technology into agentic decisions that autonomous vehicles can actually make.
Absolutely, and we'll come back for more on that. Let me quickly bring in Emanuele. Emanuele, I was actually at Rome Airport earlier this June, quite impressed for the first time and hopefully not for the last time. Emanuele, AI has become quite a buzzword, but in your industry, AI is bringing about real operational impact.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Abhishek. Good morning, everyone. Yes, AI is a buzzword, but currently it's becoming something more concrete every day. So just for give you the best example of a solution AI-based we are deploying in Fiumicino Airport, we can talk about what we are doing with Assaia. In 2022, we launched a call for startups, the first one from Aeroporti di Roma, and Assaia was selected in order to deploy a POC. In order to understand, we are talking before ChatGPT and all the wave of Gen AI tools that arrived later. So we tested the Assaia tool for 3 stands in 2022, and through these years we tested the solution, we extended the scope of the project, and nowadays, starting from February 2027, we extend the Apron AI solution of Assaia to all the contact stands. We are talking about almost 60 stands, and in the next years we enlarge the scope to have a total cover of turnaround AI solution for all the stands in Fiumicino.
Interesting. Since you mentioned Assaia, Jan, you are one of the leading AI solutions providers globally when it comes to aviation management, especially apron management and ground service operations. I think you manage close to 25 airports globally, and Dubai Airports is one of your top clients. Give us a sense of how big that work is. I mean, you're essentially a Swiss company, but you're giving solutions to the rest of the world in a very offline, online manner. You're not really physically present, but you're providing solutions that sort of that's changing the way airports operate. Give us a sense of that work that's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Abhishek. I would say it's quite astonishing to see how quickly the industry adopted the technology after, I would say, COVID, because during that time no one had any possibilities. And as you said, we're currently working with more than 25 airports, and all of these are currently getting the value out of having more data, having more oversight, having more transparency, and we are able, on our side, to do all of this from a relatively, as you said, remote location. But at the same time, I think it is important that you combine the actual installation with, and that goes back to also what Emanuele said, being present, being on site, working with the teams, because getting technology into the airport is one thing, but if you buy a solution and then no one knows how to use it, then you can also not buy the solution. So it's really much about, it's not only about installing it, but it's about making sure that you install the right tool, and you train the people, and you tell the people why they use this, because as you said, our solution will change and can change the way how airports operate, but if that is not trained or not communicated the right way, it will not happen.
I'll stay with you. You've mentioned how things became faster after COVID. I wanted to understand, you're being consulted by airports in Asia, in Europe, I'm assuming in Americas as well. How diverse is that portfolio? How different are the demands from each of these airports? What do you see in terms of their adoption of AI in their daily work?
That's a very good question. I would say that on the one side, an airport is an airport is an airport. You have a runway, you have a terminal, all the aircrafts are the same globally, so the basic fundamental ground handling and activities are the same everywhere in the world. However, you have slightly different challenges. For example, in Europe, it's a bit more about sustainability. It's about very quick turnarounds because you have lots of point-to-point connections. In the US, it's a lot about safety. It's a lot, again, about operational consistency. However, in the US, you often have the big airlines managing or partly managing their own gates, so there's a different conflict. In Asia, you have less capacity constraints, but therefore you have, again, a lot of traffic, a lot of very quick growth.
Yeah.
So there are different challenges everywhere, and it's very particular. Like in Copenhagen, we have a slightly different setup than, for example, in Rome, because the priorities or even the processes could be slightly different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's bring in Americas. You head the innovation at an airport like Kentucky, which is domestically quite a busy airport. You spoke about autonomous vehicles, and I would love to hear more of that a little later. But in terms of AI adoption, if you can define that journey, did COVID help you? Did something else? Or was it just the trends that you took up? How do you define the adoption of AI, and how has it operationally impacted a single biggest point in your airport?
Let's take that backwards first. What is it defined? We're not there yet. and let's be very clear, we just are not there yet. Because if anyone can define AI, please meet me afterwards and tell me what it is. And a perfect example, very quick detour. I just got an email this morning suggesting from one of our board members that he wants to start auditing AI.
Wow.
What exactly are you going to audit? All right, tuck that aside. Here's the piece that's right in our hands amongst the three of us gentlemen, and Abhishek, you set the stage perfectly. A product like Jan's is the central nervous system. It is ingesting exactly what the aircraft manufacturer wants, what the airport wants, and the airline wants. And who's in the middle of all of that? It's the staff. So, and Jan said it perfectly well, Emanuele backed it up, it's the staff that's so critical in delivering the end state. Does the staff understand where we're headed? And here's where we're headed from a defining point. And again, we're not there yet. But I shared yesterday with Christian on another stage that for us, and I think all of us right here can appreciate, post-pandemic, actually pre-pandemic, what is this industry very well known for? Extreme ups and downs on the economic cycle. We just do not do this well at all. If you're an airline, where's your biggest expense? Labor and fuel. If you're a future tech company, like Assaia, where can you save? Labor and fuel. And not many people have grasped yet on the labor side of the house. Absolutely on fuel all day long, because it's about the turn time. Let's turn the aircraft. But an airport like ours, and Abhishek, you set the stage very well, we're a large domestic airport, we have labor gaps. And already the agenda that we were pushing, frankly, on the autonomous side is automation can fill those labor gaps, but it's AI that's going to be the great uniter. And I can't overstate that enough. From that connection, just to give you a perfect example, Boeing would love that information from Assaia. As that aircraft is taxiing in, it's being monitored. And of course, it's all about the service steps. Assaia, central nervous system, can notify the autonomous vehicle it's time to unload the aircraft, bring out the departing bags, and be prepared to offload. Can it physically do the labor? It can't. However, the labor is better strategically put. On the inside, where Emanuele shared something similar to us, is we launched a product that is an autonomous bot inside that delivers product to the consumer. If for some reason there's a delay outside, and that has a trickle effect, which Assaia has done an exceptional job of demonstrating, how do we alert and ultimately impact the customer experience that says, we're terribly sorry, there's a bot that's coming to your gate right now to deliver an appreciative product in respect for your time. That is the great unifier that we collectively, all right here, can work towards, because it's so very close.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the great unifier. In fact, let's bring in Emanuele. Both of you manage airports. Brian manages one of the largest domestic airports. You manage one of the busiest international airports in south of Europe. My question to you is simple. AI is often seen as a replacement for human beings or human capabilities, but in reality it's actually augmenting or sort of helping you guys become more efficient. How do you bridge that gap?
Absolutely. It's not.
I'm not sure you're using the mic closer. Yeah, I can keep it closer.
Okay, so it's not, our goal is not to reduce staff because, as Brian said, we need to cover a gap. So it's not easy to find people in our industry in order to manage the increase of traffic we expect in the next year. So it's more to increase the quality of work and reduce repetitive tasks that we can make with thanks to AI solution, autonomous vehicle. But I agree also with Jan, when we are talking about AI, about automation, it's not a matter of technology, it's a matter of transform the way we work. So in the past, also in Fiumicino, we made the mistake to deploy a solution and then, okay, people continue doing the same things because business as usual, no? Okay. With Assaia, we choose to change this approach. We create a transformation organization in order to help the business to use the solution since the first day. So Assaia tool, for instance, is used in our airport operations center, and also we extend the use to all the other stakeholders involved in the airport processes. So currently we share Assaia insight to airlines, to handlers, so everyone can improve their performance, sharing data, sharing knowledge, and improve by the experience. So it's very important to change the processes that we used to work until the development of this kind of solution. Also in terms of automation, it's very relevant when we have to face disruptions. So just to give you an example, while we use a chatbot for passenger, AI-based, obviously it's used by passenger. Currently 5% of our passenger, instead to go to info point or asking stuff, they use our chatbot. But it's very useful when there are disruptions as bad weather or strike and so on and so forth. We saw the increase from 5% to 20%. Okay, so
I've seen that firsthand earlier this summer.
Yeah,
There's a massive strike in Italy.
Exactly.
And I saw that, yeah.
So AI help us also to improve customer experience when there are disruptions.
Absolutely. Which is, in fact, I was coming to it. How do you use disruptions to your advantage? And you've actually explained that very well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those kind of disruptions happen in the US. Maybe we'll get a sense from Brian after you've spoken, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just for instance, obviously we are not happy if a flight has delayed, obviously, but we can use this solution in order to reach passenger and also in order to propose commercial offers, discount for food and beverage. So we try to have an opportunity, thanks to the possibility to engage directly passenger. It's the first time for us because at the end the airport run a B2B business. So we have our client, our airlines, we have no insight about passenger, we have no email numbers. So the technology enables a new way to engage a passenger. So we use our chatbot on WhatsApp, that is common social media around the world. Thanks to this, we are able also during the disruption to engage passengers, to offer discount lounges, food and beverage. And this is something that brings value because it's the first time for an airport to have contact with the passengers.
Right. Brian, I'm not sure if we've had similar disruptions, but we've seen globally how we've used disruptions in the past. COVID was a great example. Have you used any such disruption to introduce a new AI solution?
Absolutely, and not a weather extreme, frankly. We are landlocked.
Yeah.
We have a massive amount of land, but we are landlocked as far as our primary road in and out of the passenger facility. So step one is, if we're landlocked, how do we become more efficient with that use of roadway space? And frankly, AI ingestion of camera data can help us get there. We're coming up on a holiday next week in the US. It's not uncommon for us to experience a kilometer or more backup. And if you can't actually pick up your loved ones, that's a problem. That's no longer a good user experience. The cruel irony is what's happening upstairs. It's a bad claim packed. There's no one upstairs because our flight schedule is directly opposed to each other. You have the inbound flights, and then an hour later you have the outbound flights. We have a completely open roadway upstairs. So we're using AI now to, number one, ingest, number two, help our staff, first of all, recognize what's in it for me. I can actually keep the passenger or keep the cars flowing and utilize our curb front. But then the longer term plan is how do we deploy signage that actually can reroute customers that says lower level closed, upper level open, and get people out of the mindset of arrivals and departures. It's all open. And our airport is really easy to use. I suspect many others are. How do we use terminal facilities to better really adjust to the future? And I would say one other piece that we can't really forget is how are we using AI to really help a different traveler, and that's the individual that has a disability, either seen or unseen. And one of the elements that we're using, a company that is AI-based, real-time, American Sign Language, British Sign Language. And the criticality there is if you have a flight disruption, it's overwhelming for us in the industry, let alone someone that has a disability and can't hear or can't read closed captioning, because that's not how they were taught to read. They were taught to read by sign language.
Yeah.
So using that type of technology to embrace a new consumer that has money and they're traveling with friends, how do we really try to open up to a different world?
Interesting insights there. Let's bring in Jan, who's been quietly sitting for a while. In fact, I want to start this conversation with you. As one of the leading AI solutions providers, have you ever, and I'm sure you have, but how often do you get, you have to cross the bridge where you need to explain the ROI and the scalability? Because a lot of airports struggle to move from a pilot project to a scalable AI deployment on a permanent basis. How easy or difficult is that transformation? As someone who provides the solution, how do you justify the ROI and implementation? Sorry, long question.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. I would say that there's always this kind of new thing. Is it AI or robotics, or a few years ago it was probably blockchain and whatever. And then you have a few players in the market, and that I think it's the same in every market. It's not new to aviation, that are the early adopters. So they believe in the technology, they're kind of a bit more risk taker, and they go forward. And you have to identify those risk takers in the beginning. But in the meantime, I have to say that we have so many case studies, use cases, where we can showcase that specifically through the adoption of our system, there have been benefits. So one example is in Rome, where after now 4 months or 5 months of a large-scale, full-time deployment, we see that, for example, the boarding bridges are connected to the aircraft on average 1 minute earlier.
Wow.
So this means that passengers have to wait less in a very critical state. You arrive, and we all know this, you arrive, you're sitting in the aircraft, you're like, okay, now I want to get out, now I want to get out. Another one is that, for example, in Berlin, and again, how you change as an organization your operational dynamics. So in Berlin they said, we have a challenge with the ground handlers and baggage unloading, especially during peak times. So in 2023, it happened that they had situations where passengers waited for more than 1 hour to get their bags.
Right.
So if you have a flight from Düsseldorf or from Paris to Berlin, it might have been the case that you waited longer to get your bag than the flight actually took. So using our system, or making our system part of the solution, they created what we call a SWAT team, a ground handler or a team that is directly employed by the airport. And if our system then gives an alarm, for example, that the belt loader has not been deployed or connected to the aircraft within 7 minutes of arrival, they will then deploy that SWAT team to make sure that everything is being handled. And then the ground handler, and there must be some kind of issue at the ground handler side, because otherwise they would not be late. They are also relaxed now, because they know we can now move on and go to the next turnaround. So you take out the pressure out of the system. And then another great use case is also, for example, in Copenhagen, the first airport in the world, the market leader here, to make sure that the sustainability component, for example, is completely covered. Checking for APU usage, checking for making sure that the APU is used in the right way. But again, very smart approach, not just saying, okay, we know it all and now we have the tool to monitor it, but rather saying we use it to create data, to understand what is actually the right way, and then have a very useful policy in the end making this. So there are many of these use cases. In Seattle, we reduced taxi-in times by many minutes because there, for example, they had the challenge aircraft coming in. The other aircraft where this incoming flight was assigned to the stand, it was still occupied, but no one knew. Now they know, and they connect this with their arrival system. So the arrival manager, so even 50 miles out, 100 miles out, they know that this flight will very likely have a disruption on the ground.
Yeah.
So that gives them 20, 30 more minutes to find a solution. So these are the different things, and once you have them identified, it is also easier because, as I said earlier, many airports face the same similar issues, and then they relate to this, yes.
Yeah.
Abhishek, if I can.
I was coming to you anyway.
Like ROI is my favorite conversation.
Yes.
And I think we sit in a little bit of a unique advantage point, but think about it differently. You have a cell phone on you, right?
Yes, I do.
Maybe a crass question, but how much did you pay for that cell phone?
About $1,000, roughly.
$1,000.
Yeah.
15 years ago. Would you have spent $1,000?
No way.
Right. So what's changed in that time? You found value in that. You found direct and indirect ROI for you personally. And that's how we have to start thinking about newer technologies. So just as Jan eloquently walked us through, there are so many different use cases. They're different use cases. How do we pull that into a collective conversation? And I would say here's where we struggle in the US particularly, and Jan spoke to it earlier, is that we're not a hub airport. So in the US, predominantly the hub airlines, the legacy airlines, are the ones that are very interested in this type of technology. We were one of the first that put our hand up and said, we're going to chase after this technology too, but we don't have a champion airline behind it. So it's sporadic. Frankly, we had to start with our own staff and really kind of take that cell phone principle to say, there's a direct cost to the airport for this. It's not even our labor. So where are we going to see the savings? And the savings, frankly, was for our airline tenants. And to be able to sit down with them to say, there's two sides of the ledger. There's a cost over here for the airport. There's a savings over here to the airline. We make our money back through rates and charges and landing fees. So if it's a couple pennies on our landing fee versus thousands, tens of thousands, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of dollars in fuel and labor savings over here, that is an indirect savings that we're seeing that encourages those airlines to fly to our airport versus another airport. So we just have to think about it slightly differently to not be so narrow focused in just me.
Yeah.
It's collectively, what are we doing really for the industry on the whole?
Yeah, beautiful storytelling there. In fact, as someone who leads an airport's transformation, it's not always easy because you're working with stakeholders, like you rightly said, tenants of the airport, there's the authorities. I'm sure it must have been a tough task for you as well, Emanuele, when you were introducing something like this. You said 4 months ago. But what was the conversation you had before that? And with who specifically?
Obviously, you have to convince the board, but it's not all. It's a matter of create a path. It's not easy to have a standalone approach. So you try a solution and ask for the approval of a specific solution. I think that you have to create a transformation program So you have to understand the needs and the opportunities inside the company, but also outside the company. So you have to create a transformation plan with the top priorities shared with all the stakeholders inside the company. Obviously, sometimes we say that no CEO, no party. Okay, so it's very important to have the endorsement of the CEO and of the top management. Then try the solution and during the POC already think about the value of the solution. So a data-driven approach, when we developed the Assaia tool, we started defining the KPI. So the percentage of TOBT, expiration of TOBT, or the number of delayed flights and so on so far, in order to understand the potential value, because as Brian said, ROI is also about increase of capacity in the long term.
Yeah.
If I reduce the usage of a stand in minus, but minus and minus and minus, maybe I can add an aircraft to a stand for
That's more revenue for
100
you.
stands.
Yeah.
Bring value to the company.
Absolutely.
Also because in Europe it's not easy to enlarge the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's important to create and this data-driven approach, and then it's easier to engage the CFO and all the procurement and so on and so forth. But it's very important to create a path, not only a standalone approach approving a specific solution. Okay, I go to the next one.
Right. Right, gents, we're almost down to the end of this discussion, but we won't be able to finish this before you wrap up with what's the next big project that you're working on. Maybe we'll start with Jan. You've spoken about a lot of used cases, some very successful models. What are you currently working on that you think will be deployed and maybe disrupt the way things work in the next 12 months or so?
Well, within the next 12 months, we're still in the aviation industry, so. No, but so on our side, we are currently looking beyond the apron, beyond the turnaround.
Right.
There's a lot that can still be integrated. So the arrival path, departure path, what happens at the apron, integrating terminal-based solutions in order to really build that holistic view. We are currently we now went live with our second version of our stand manager, where you can basically integrate the turnaround detections with an optimized state-of-the-art aircraft allocation for the stands. And in the future, it is really about just understanding more of those hidden data points. I mean, honestly, everything is available. It is just either in different locations, or you first have to apply the technology, speech to text and so on, text to speech, both directions. And then for the long term, there will be new technologies. And I think, and coming to the first panel of today, or the first, like the keynote, I liked it a lot, because I don't think no one of us, no one here in this room, no one in the world will know what happens in 25 years. I don't think that if you would have asked someone in 2000, what would the world look like in 2025, no one would have said AI. So it's actually quite interesting to simply stay in the now, think ahead, but also have some kind of excitement about not knowing what is coming, and being open-minded about it.
Yeah, beautifully put. Staying in the now and looking ahead. Brian, you spoke about autonomous vehicles at the start. Explain that a bit, and anything else that you're working on that you're going to surprise us with, hopefully by the time the next Dubai Airshow comes around in 2 years.
I don't think it'll, well, 2 years, maybe.
Maybe.
Who's been on the other side of the facility and seen the new aircraft? Archer, Joby. How many of us thought that was actually going to happen 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago? Phenomenal. and the average public still has not wrapped their head around that aircraft is coming. How is it powered? Electric and hydrogen, or hybrid.
Yeah.
So are we prepared for that on the airport side? So stick with me. There's a process here. Where we're going long term, but a short-term investment strategy is, do we pursue a data center on the airport? And right now what's happening in a lot of communities around the world is data centers are moving very rapidly. They take a tremendous amount of power, they take a tremendous amount of water, so there's suddenly now an upheaval that's like, we don't know that we want data centers anymore. We're going to need data centers, whether we like it or not. This whole AI conversation absolutely has accelerated the need for data centers. What is AI also doing? It's accelerating the need for new generation of power. So we used to talk about passenger EVs or craft that are EV driven. Now it's AI. So does the airport sit right in the middle of a perfect storm in a positive way on, do we pursue data centers? Because not just the power need, because by the way, a data center doesn't run at say 50 megawatts constantly. It does this. So does the airport kind of offset that curve a bit and flatline it, load balance? So from that perspective, could the data center load balance power demand, meet the water needs, and ultimately provide edge computing? And now we're back to the autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Can it provide the edge computing that we need for all of the devices and technology that we're leveraging, like Assaia, to speak to, just as I said before, the central nervous system of those robotic vehicles? You can dramatically lower the cost of that type of vehicle if we're relying on edge compute. If we have to have a full stack of tech on those vehicles, it's going to be cost prohibitive. So we have to think radically different.
All right, Emanuele, maybe 30 seconds for you to sum up. Unfortunately, we don't have much time.
Yeah, we are working on a new solution because AI, we are developing several AI solutions, and now it's not, humans cannot be able to manage all these kind of solutions in our airport operation center. So our goal is to create an agentic AI, an orchestric AI, in order to help human to manage all the data, all the information from Assaia and all other AI solutions that we are developing for our airport operation center. So helping a human to interface with the AI solution.
Beautiful, right on time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to us. Thank you, gents, for sharing some very interesting insights into how AI is shaping the way airport operations are going about in today's day and age. Who knows, in 2 years' time when we meet again, hopefully, inshallah, as they say, things will drastically change. But until then, thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you. Thank you. Oops. Grazie. That was lovely.